Hey, one of my viewers, my friend Katie, said that I should edit them and make them funnier, but I'm not going to because this is kind of serious. This one is. I mean, some of them might not be, but now I'm reviewing Hate Mail from Cheerleaders by Reilly, and I kind of lost the dust jacket to this book. It's published by Sports Illustrated, so you know that it's sports writing, but the thing is, it's not just sports writing. I actually don't read just sports writing. This really takes a look at life, and it can make you laugh out loud, or it can make you cry, and I know that it can make you cry because I've cried when reading this book, and I've read it 3 or 4 times, and it's fantastic. It really takes a look at life through sports, whether it's looking at a kid who has cerebral palsy, running for a cross-country team, and how even though that he finishes long after all the other players, almost 30 minutes more than 30 minutes after some of them, everyone stays to watch and cheer, and his teammates will go back out and run with him for the last 10 minutes. To talking about how the Yankees mistreat their bat boys, to talking about how PETA wanted to make fishing, to talk about how how PETA thinks fishing is inhumane, to talking about Barry Bonds, to talking about this guy who made $100,000 a year and he wanted more than $100,000, and to talking about how some people get off the hook for murder, some people from sports. It doesn't just talk about the points or the game. It actually doesn't really talk about that. It talks about the people. It's got an introduction by Lance Armstrong that kind of talks about that and talks about Rick Reilly as a guy, and then it's got a foreword that talks about the title, and I've decided not to read to you any of this because though I truly want you to read this book, I think giving you a taste of this book would make you truly want to read this book. I think that this is something that you should experience the entire thing for yourself because you won't be able. Though it's all sports writing and it's just 3-page stories, 100 of them, and you can kind of take breaks after every 3 pages. You don't want to. You want to continue reading. And it's really, truly interesting. Sorry, that was my A. I'm talking to Katie. Whether talking about, let's see. And then it talks about, like, there's one how he talks about the Nothing But Nets charity where he donated $20,000 and he's a huge sponsor of it because he talks about in sports how much we talk about nets and how they could save lives in Africa. It really just shows that, and it really does talk about the Nothing But Nets charity, and I really think you should read this book. Because truthfully, I'm not that much of a sports fan. I like sports, don't get me wrong. I really like football and baseball and tennis, and I watch it sometimes, but if you gave me a copy of Sports Illustrated, I would go to the pop culture grid, and when he was writing, I would read his column, and I might flip through the faces in the crowd thing. That's about it. I won't sit there and read the articles like any good sports fan will do, but any good sports fan will still love this. I'm not just saying that if you love sports you won't love this, because you still will. It can make you laugh or it can make you cry, and you should really read it, whether you like sports at all or whether you don't. It's something you should experience. And Rick Reilly, if you have already read this book and you want to read more of him and you don't know what happened because he's not in Sports Illustrated anymore, he now writes for ESPN, and I think you can read it on the ESPN magazine, and I think you can read it on their website, but I'm not sure. And he has his own website. I think if you Google him, it'll come up. Maybe I'll put it in the sidebar, but it's a fantastic book. Read it, please. And if I know you personally, I'm forcing you to read it because it's just that good. Alright, thanks. Bye.